Check us out to hear the latest on life in the volunteer state. Yvonnca and her guests discuss everything from life, love, and business with a Tennessee flair.
It's a Tennessee thing.
Always relatable, always relevant, and always a good time. This is Talking Tennessee, and now your host, Yvonnca.
This episode is brought to you by the Landes team, your go-to real estate family in East Tennessee. If you are looking to buy or sell, we are the ones you should call. Give us a call at 865-660-1186 or check out our website at YvoncaSellsRealEstate.com. That's Yvonnca, YVONNCA, sellsrealestate.com.
Welcome back to Talking Tennessee with Yvonnca. I'm your host, and I am back for part 2 of John Matthews' segment with Talking Tennessee. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me come back. This is great.
I love it, and I wanted to do this in 2 parts because his story is so compelling, and it is a must listen and receive type interview because you went through a lot in your life. And you still keep a smile, and you still want to give back.
Yeah, maybe that's what keeps me smiling.
Look, giving back. He wrote a book, and it's called Wisdom at a Cost. And when I tell you that it's a book that we all can relate to, there's portions of the book that we can all gravitate to and say, I know, I've been there. And this part is going to be all about how he came out of the dust, how he dusted himself off, and he said, you know what, I want something out of my life. And in 2016, you were in a role that will go down in history of wildfires that truly affected East Tennessee.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Gatlinburg wildfires.
Yeah, 2016. What a day. You know, it's cliche to say that that day started out just like every other day, but it did.
Take us back. How did it all unravel that day?
Well, I don't know. Do you remember where you were at on that Monday morning?
I was on the interstate.
Okay.
And the radio was on, and I don't remember which radio station
Smoke in the area, though.
Yeah, and a lot of smoke in the area. And it was like, what is going on? Because I didn't think that big when I saw the smoke. You know what I'm saying?
I think, well, yeah, for me personally, same. But also, if you remember, that whole entire month, smoke was in the area. You know, there was fires that were burning down in Chattanooga. The whole state of Tennessee had wildfires that were popping up.
You're bringing back my memory.
We were in a drought, and so. And waking up that morning in November, it was a little bit more smoky. We had ash that actually was physically visible on some cars that kind of looked like snow, and it had a little bit of a different tone to it, if you will. But you know, at the end of the day, everybody got up. People that were on vacation either were heading home because it was the weekend after Thanksgiving. Or parents were taking their kids to school, you know, maybe they were doing Cyber Monday shopping. I mean, it was just another typical Monday after Thanksgiving.
Let's go back a little bit. What was your role? Title and role.
At the time, I was the Emergency Management Director. And for people that understand what that is, think of FEMA, okay, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. This is more of a local, branch, if you will, of that. So in the state of Tennessee, there's 95 counties, and each county is required to have an emergency management director. And if they don't appoint one, the mayor, oddly enough, assumes that role. That's how the statute's written. And so we have a state organization called TEMA, which is the Tennessee Emergency Management Agency. And of course, each county has one. Knoxville has the Knox County Emergency Management Agency. Colin Ickes is the director, great friend of mine. And I was, at the time, the director of the Sevier County Emergency Management Agency. I was 35 years old.
At 35 years old.
Yeah, and I think, we left last week talking about, where I was at and climbing the ladder, so to speak. But, at 21, I was an IV drug user at rock bottom, rotten teeth,
Yes.
in and out of jail. And at 35, I was the EMA director of Sevier County.
So tell the people what made you go down the road to being in that position. Before we talk about the wildfires,
sure. It was more
happened.
of a windy road. When I first got clean and went back to school, fell in love with biology, essentially. And I was introduced to this biology, anatomy, and all these things because I wanted to become an EMT. When I wanted to get into emergency services, I actually pulled out a phone book, back before Google or ChatGPT. We actually had to physically look up phone numbers.
Right.
And pulled out the phone book. A lot of people also may not know this, but frankly, 70% of all fire departments in the nation are volunteer. There's only about 30% that are paid. And so
I know it was a lot of volunteers. I didn't know it was that big.
And so essentially, Sevier County is no different. And there was 3 departments that was an actual career-driven type of opportunity. And that was the Gatlinburg Fire Department, Pigeon Forge, and Sevierville.
Okay.
So I called all 3 of them. Got the phone book out. Somebody answered the phone. I gave them a elevator pitch saying, hey, want to get into business, don't know anything. What do you recommend? How do I get in? And basically, they all said the same thing: become an EMT, try to volunteer at the fire department to get some experience and get to know the people, because it is a tight knit community, the emergency service.
Yes.
And so I did that. I actually, oddly enough, I was bartending in Gatlinburg. And so on my way to work one night, I stopped at the fire department, put an application in to become a volunteer at the Gatlinburg Fire Department. They never called me.
Really?
They never called me to be a volunteer.
But
I eventually got a job there later on.
Yes.
And then the other thing is
egg on their face.
Yeah. But then I did enroll in college, and I went to become an EMT. And there's some prereqs and some things that looks like. But eventually had to send in letters to the state of Tennessee because I was incarcerated and I was on drugs and all these things that I had to plead my case of why I should get a license in the state of Tennessee to practice medicine, and frankly be given some of these drugs that the patients inside the ambulance are going to take, the ones that I was addicted to. And there was people, family included, told me my whole life that this portion of my life, I should say, that no one's ever going to hire you. You won't get this job because you went to jail 7 different times.
Right.
And so, what I didn't do? I didn't listen to one effort the whole night.
There you go. And a lot of times,
there's so many naysayers.
A lot of times that, I think people are small-minded, okay? And I think a lot of times people are, want to keep you in a box because they're in a box.
Yeah.
Just because you made a mistake does not mean that is your life, and you're supposed to stay there. Of what I hear is coming out of your mouth is, I found something that I like.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something in service.
Yeah.
I wanted to serve. You started servicing people in bartending, but then you said, okay, I want to service, saving lives, and do it for my community. That's the biggest thing that I look at as a fireman. Firemen's truly, I'm friends with a lot of firemen.
Yeah.
Okay. They walk away from their families. They save a lot of families. They go into houses, buildings, all that, to basically put back whatever it is, and a lot of firemen don't come out. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And you have to really have a heart for people to be a fireman. Do you agree with that?
No, I totally agree. When somebody calls 911, they're in a tough moment. They do not have any more answers.
It's a true emergency.
They have tried everything they know to do, and they are without an answer. And so, thankfully, we have this organization that is willing to come to you and help you. And so all you got to do is call 911, and whether it's an ambulance that's going to come, a fire department, or the police department to come help you through whatever situation you may be in. It doesn't have to be a domestic assault or your house is burning down. It could be a gamut of different things. But, their job is to show up on your worst day. That's pretty crazy.
And help you pick up the pieces.
Yeah.
But you know what that's like because you had to dust yourself off and you had to make sure that, okay, I went down this road, I need to go down a different road, and I want to make something in my life. And I think that when 2016 came, you could relate to a lot of things that you were seeing because you had trauma, you had experiences of loss.
Yeah. And so let me back up just a second there. When I went and got hired on at the Gatlinburg Fire Department, I was young. I was probably 25-ish. And, just to sit in the interview and be a candidate to get on the fire department, I had to fix my criminal record. I told you before I had a petition the state of why I should be a licensed emergency medical technician in the state of Tennessee.
And I bet you that wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
Did you have a lot of no's?
I had a lot of...
Or was it more process?
It was more of a process, and a lot of people that weren't really involved in the process telling me I wasn't going to make it.
Gotcha.
So basically people that didn't know whether it wasn't up to them.
But you seem like you're strong-willed, though.
Yeah, I learned real quick not to listen to the naysayers.
Yes, because a lot of times people want to say they're positive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of negative people, and they pour out that.
They're close to you.
Yeah.
Usually it's friends and family.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. And I hate to say that, but it's just true. And a lot of times your family, the people that you really want to believe in you, a lot of them don't. I hate to say this, but this is true, is a lot of strangers have more belief in you than your own friends and family. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're in your corner. It's crazy.
Yeah,
they're
it is.
cheerleaders.
And you have to keep going and just truly believe that there is purpose for you. In 2016, when the wildfires hit, what was your first thought?
That's a deep question. That's a good question.
Thank you.
Essentially, that day our office was deployed early on, and we essentially what emergency management does is they work with the local departments, whether it's the fire department, whether it's an ambulance service, whether it's Homeland Security or the police department, and we're basically there to assist them into making better decisions and navigating through this emergency, whatever that may be. You're not going to call 911 and the emergency management agency show up to your house to help you personally.
Right.
But now if the emergency service personnel get there and it's something that they're not familiar with or they can't solve, they call us. We're like a 911 for 911.
Right.
Okay. And so we come in, and that particular day, they being a national park called the Gatlinburg Fire Department. It was like, hey, we've got this fire. It's been burning since the day before Thanksgiving. We've attempted several times to extinguish it and put in, fire breaks and all these things. But however, it's now close to some historic buildings near Gatlinburg, near the city limits of Gatlinburg. Would you be willing to go over there and at least bring an engine and some fire personnel to protect these old cabins, back when
and try to assess the situation and how.
Well, not even at this point. We're not even assessing. It was literally just to go to this particular spot that had some old cabins. If you've been to, this is not in Cades Cove. I don't want to confuse the viewers, but if you've ever been to Cades Cove and you've seen these old cabins,
right?
I mean, that's essentially what they're going to, protect. But at the time, which was, probably early afternoon, late morning, this is what we found out. So they go up there, they call us in, us being an emergency management agency, to come assist, and some of our staff personnel went up there and worked with the fire department to do just the early the early things in an incident, if you will. Well, one of the things is looking at what's the first residential community near this fire. Now, this fire is miles and miles away from the first community, which is Minette Park. And so the Gatlinburg Police
Minette Park.
Minette Park is in Gatlinburg. And it's going, if you've ever been to the Park Vista in Gatlinburg.
Yes.
So it's sort of there on your right-hand side as you go up towards Park Vista. There's a small park and community right there. It's called Minette Park. And so the police department, Gatlinburg Police Department, and the fire department, you set up an evacuation to those residents. They didn't have to leave. It wasn't a requirement. Again, this is broad daylight.
Mandatory thing.
Yeah, it's these are usually residents. They've seen wildfires their whole life, but they opened up a shelter just in case at the Gatlinburg Community Center.
Okay.
And then as the fire progressed and more people found out about it, the smoke is really heavy in the area. So they opened up the command post at the Gatlinburg Fire Department. News stations are there. They brought in this fire model that essentially you could put in the wind speed, the barometric pressure, the Doppler radar, all these things, and then the topographical map of the terrain where the fire is at. And this model will actually show you the development and the growth of this particular wildfire and how fast it's going to spread. And from that model, it was showing that it wasn't going to reach the city limits of Gatlinburg for, half a day, 16, 17, 18 hours. And rain was coming through the forecast to be here in just a few hours, like around 9, 10 o'clock that night, which is not what happened. The rain didn't actually come until mid-morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning. And from around the 6:30 to 10 o'clock hour, these winds picked up to be hurricane force winds. I think the last reading, there was a weather station that was monitoring wind speeds, and before it was damaged, the last reading had 87 mile an hour winds.
Wow.
Which is essentially hurricane force winds.
So that day you went up to do, what you could to save those cabins. Mm-hmm. What was it like just trying to contribute to others and talking to others in the community and explaining to them, what is transpiring? What can you tell me?
So, right now you guys, it's still a Gatlinburg Fire Department problem issue. Mm-hmm. They're the jurisdiction in charge. This is still early on, and so they have their own protocols, their own standard operating procedures that they do things for certain incidents. And so they have their own metrics of how this looks in a wildfire, in a flood, and all these things. And so they're going through their protocol and notifying. And for them, that particular day was going door to door, just because it's a small community.
Right.
And then at the same time doing press conferences and explaining what's going on, at the command post. But essentially, the fire chief, Greg Miller at the time, and was the last press conference that he did was talking about this fire model that we just got done talking about, and what it was looking like, and who we've already evacuated versus where the shelter's at, and just giving the public information of what's going on with the information we had at the time, which is just basically standard operating.
I bet you doing a press conference was probably really stressful because people wanted answers, mm-hmm. That type thing. But I can't imagine, emotionally as a man, in that position. Mm-hmm. What was your emotions? What did you feel as just what was going on? You knew you had to speak, you had to give some answers, but emotionally, seeing people, panicking, people scared, what was that like?
I'm glad you asked. And essentially, this is Monday, and the first 12 hours of any incident is what we call the response phase. Okay. So we have 12 hours, and this is where the responders come out, and they are doing what they can to mitigate whatever emergency there is. And then the second 12 hours is the first operational period, if you will. And so what you do on every 12 hours is a new operational period, and you set objectives and goals to accomplish in this 12 hours, you know, and there's usually staff change, and there's a transfer of command to people that are going to be changing out roles. You know, we had over 4,000 apparatus to come to the Gatlinburg area to help fight this fire. I mean, you think about how big a fire truck is. Imagine we're going to put 4,000 of them.
Yeah, and a lot of people, now I will say it did bring a lot of people together that really wanted to help people, because people lost so much, you know, that type of thing. But I just can't imagine being in that position that you can't just change it. It's not something that just changes like that. I don't want to give away the book. But I do want to say, in part of the book, I read that you were saying that you went in the bathroom and, you know, trying to gather yourself together and put water on your face to prepare, you know, to go out and speak about things that may not be pleasing to people, but it was just reality.
The human aspect.
Yes.
Of
what was
role.
that like?
So that particular part was later on in the week. You know, we closed the city of Gatlinburg down for about 6 days, and you know we had so many missing people who turned eventually hundreds of people on this missings list, and trying to find them and locate family members, because that was the biggest thing, is people with the city being shut down, they didn't even know if their own house was burnt,
Exactly.
or their business was burnt. And so
I do remember that.
It was, and so it was our job to find these missing people and somehow, you know, provide this information to the public. Which what we did is we actually went to each individual house on foot. I mean, there was still no cell phone towers. That meant no GPS. We had to print old maps and bring people that have never been to Gatlinburg, that has no road signs, no trees, no houses, no buildings, only driveways, and you would have to go to house that was still standing, look at the house number and say, okay, I'm at 2021 Songbird Road. This next house must be 2022, even though it's not there. I can see driveway, and you start counting the driveways. I mean, that's how they had to map 2,500 different buildings.
And I want you to understand that there are a lot of people that own cabins that are not living in East Tennessee.
Yeah.
So they're getting calls from people that are saying, tell me if my house is still there.
Yeah.
So that right there, the stress of all of that, you know, was on his head. It was trying.
Not been to bed.
Yeah.
I've never even went home.
Yeah.
Been sitting.
Imagine that, you know, and it's out of your control. You're trying to control a situation that was out of control, and then you're trying to take all these calls and put yourself in that position. You know, what would it be like? I mean, because when you've given so much to your community and you're dedicating service.
And work so hard to be in that room.
Yeah, to be in that room and change your life to be in that room.
Arguably, probably worked harder than anybody in that room to be in that room.
Exactly. But you still could not make it go away.
No.
And this was with their reality. Because I know there was many people that you had to tell, your house is gone.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, and I want to get back to the bathroom thing, because that's such a good, good visual for anybody who wants to
see,
read
he can give that part away. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to speak for you on that part. But that, when I was reading that, I was just like, it kind of got me like, what? Oh, go ahead.
But this map that we went live with after we mapped out all these houses, which would allow somebody to go to a website and see, they could type in their address and they could see if their house was lost or still there. But and so we put it on this this company called Esri, and put it on their servers, which is a worldwide company. It's a huge company.
Right.
This is how crazy. I think it went live December 6th. Okay. So there's only 31 days in December. So maybe it was live 19 days in the year of 2016. It was the most used map in the entire world for their company in the 19 days it was live.
Oh wow.
It crashed all their servers. So many people clicked on it that it crashed their servers.
Yeah. So just think about that. People are having to go on this site to see if
their house is still standing.
If their house is still standing. there was many families that didn't know if their family member that lived, a couple miles away or whatever.
I can't get a hold of them. Their phone's not ringing, or are they missing? And they would go on a list, this missing person's list.
And that's true anxiety, and you're wanting to know that your family member is safe.
And it's still at the same time, we're developing new goals and objectives to do the next operational period, commanding the scene for the operational period we're in, and having press conferences twice a day to notify the public. I mean, this is all going on with no sleep. We nobody ever left. We didn't brush our teeth for the first 3 days.
I can't even imagine being in that position.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. So take us to the bathroom.
Yeah, so this particular incident is, like I said, latter part of the week. They, in the beginning, naturally, just with any other disaster, people in the beginning were just shocked. Like, I can't believe this happened. We love Gatlinburg. We vacationed there our entire lives.
I used to own a cabin up there. I
sold
sold mine, but yeah.
I mean, memories are there. And
great memories.
It sort of took a switch of like, well, what went wrong? How did we get here? And and when I say this switch, it really wasn't who's to blame per se, but there was this paradigm shift slowly.
But some people wanted to blame
somebody. Yeah, and it's like, well, how did we get here? What went wrong? What could we have done better? And the fact of the matter is that anything you look back on when you have more information, hindsight's 20/20. So this is everybody's now got more information, and then they just want to start armchair quarterbacking this event versus being in the moment and understanding what the information we had at the time and how we decided to do things. But now I'm going back on the podium and answering questions for text alerts, emergency alerts.
And everybody's got a question.
Everybody's got a question. Want to know why they didn't go out, why they didn't send it.
Who started it? Yes.
How the boys, these two boys who started. I mean, just so many things. And, like I said,
how fast, I don't know if you even remember, how fast did y'all find out how it got started? Was it weeks?
Yeah, I don't remember. The boys seemed, I'd have to go back and look. I know the boys were arrested, I want to say within 2 weeks.
Okay.
I don't know exactly, but what happened was the National Park put out a request for information essentially to the public and saying, hey, were you hiking the Chimney's Top Trailhead on this particular day, which was the day before Thanksgiving?
Okay.
And did you see anything? Essentially.
Right.
Because we know the fire started up there, and it's a popular hiking trail, so somebody had to see something. Well, somebody came up and said, you know what, I actually hiked it that day, and I was wearing a GoPro, and it was recording the whole entire time, and I know exactly who did it. So,
oh, wow.
That's how those boys were caught and arrested and all those things. But, before I went out on that day, I went into this bathroom stall and
viewers, listen to this one. You're going to want this book, read this book, because this, game changer. Go ahead.
Thought to myself what some of the viewers probably had thought at some point in time in life, and I thought, how the F did I get here?
How did you get here?
How did I get here? I'm about to go speak to the news media from all over the U.S. and answer some tough questions. And honestly, knowing how hard I worked to get to this very point in my life, and
this is what you face.
And this is what I'm facing. It's like I clawed my way out of rock bottom. Clawed my way out of rock bottom.
Yes.
And this is what people are going to remember me as, and they don't even know me. And the worst part about it,
and being judged by so many people that don't know
the situation, assume this. And even when we went out and told them the exact truth, they don't believe you. We're in this world where somebody can get on media and actually say the truth, and they don't want to believe you. They just want to believe.
Because a lot of people, I hate to say this, a lot of people want to believe. They don't want to believe good.
Yeah.
They want to believe bad because bad keeps the story going.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Believing something that is good and somebody is really trying their best to work through some things for the greater good, a lot of this world do not want to hear that. And so you have to sit and think about, am I that person that I wanted to hear negative? So go ahead about the bathroom.
So I remember, like it was yesterday, just leaving the stall, I splashed some water on my face, and as I'm walking up to this podium and dreading every single moment of it, I was thinking that they are going to find out that I've been in jail, I was incarcerated, I was on drugs, and they were going to go after my character, something I worked so hard to.
Are y'all hearing?
To make, an impact and change and for the better and help. I've helped thousands of people. And,
but people will get on the internet and they're going to research this person who is speaking. I remember in the part of reading that part that you said that you walked out and went to the podium and all the hands went up to ask the question and you picked the first person that you saw raise their hand or whatever. And all I could think about when I was reading that is, I know me, I would think, okay, I'm picking this for, what are they going to ask me? Is it going to be favorable or are they going to drill me for every single thing? And so, did that happen?
It did happen in a certain sense, but not like, hey, heard you were an IV drug user, homeless, and on methadone. What gives you the right to be on this, in this command post? And how did anybody allow you to do this? But it was more. Did
your insecurities, once those things came out, did your insecurities of, oh my gosh, that you, or did
imposter syndrome 1,000%. My insecurities were there. I thought I was like, I'm an imposter. Like, I can't believe.
Do y'all hear that?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a grown man that's saying, I overcame all these different things, but now I'm on the biggest stage of my life, and now all fingers are pointing at me, and they're talking about everything that I've been through and I've overcame, but they're using it to weaponize me, to bring me down because of their stress, of what they think it should be or what I should have done. So,
and there was another reporter that time period, she tried to compare the Gallenberg wildfires to a fire that happened in Asheville, North Carolina, and basically said that the people in charge of that event in Asheville, North Carolina, not Nashville, but Asheville, North Carolina. My country accent kind of confuses people, but was evacuated the town ahead of time. There was some damage lost, but no lives were lost. And essentially, why didn't you do that here? And the fact of the matter is, their fires are two totally different fires. One was a slow-moving fire, slow-burning fire that happened over a week's period of time. This one, was burning a half an acre a second. Half an acre a second.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it was. They had a study come in, and a third party, assessed the entire incident and came out with a report, which is published. Anybody can read it. But this after action report, in there they state that out of the 17,000 acres, they burned, and the 2,500 structures burned at a half an acre a second. I mean, it was melting cars.
But you even think about like the big wildfires in LA, okay? They were trying to compare Asheville to Seville. I mean, Gatlinburg. I mean, that's like us trying to compare ours to LA. Those are two different type situations. Yes, there's something similar that everybody lost something. You know what I'm saying? But you can't compare that. And you can't point fingers at the person in position because you're so angry.
Right.
I do understand anger, and I do understand being scared, but at the same time,
at fault for it. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, we didn't know the boys and all that type thing, but it was like more coming at you, like you did it when you know you really didn't.
Yeah.
You were just brought in to try to stop the loss and help people rebuild and help people find their family members and that type thing. So what your insecurities in that, is.
But here's this thing too, on that Asheville fire, the fire departments in Asheville, their association, the Fire Chief Association, wrote us a letter and said that, hey, we're sorry for the events that occurred on the news. We don't support what that news reporter said, and in fact, these fires are totally different, and we are sorry that you try to compare it to it. Yeah, that's how. No, nobody knows that, but yeah.
Oh, that's an exclusive. Somebody wrote that. I mean, they wrote to you to tell you
an apology on the behalf of the Asheville, or the North Carolina Fire Chiefs Association.
Right.
Got in emergency services to help people, and I want to say, and I think I can say with confidence, the super majority of all people in emergency services want to help. I mean, that's what they're they love the
They want to service.
They want to serve, yeah. And now there is
their community.
There is a small portion of them, and just like any other place, that
Correct.
these
Any industries.
bad apples will put a negative light or connotation on the company or the service that they're providing, but the super majority of them want to help.
Want to help and want to make a difference. Yeah. Making a difference in your community. I truly believe evangelism, that what God was talking about in the Bible, true evangelism is in the streets. It's in your community. It's helping it to make it a better place. And it starts with you. It starts with, okay, you seeing there's a need and you try your best to fulfill that need. So tell me this, what does the title Wisdom at a Cost mean? What does it mean?
Yeah.
And what made
so
you
much.
And what made you want to write this book?
The short answer on why I wanted to write it was to one, share the story of in my opinion, an incredible comeback story, to give somebody that's either in those same shoes, the confidence, the motivation, the strength to stay the course. And also for somebody that is,
I love that, stay the course.
And or also somebody that's a loved one that's witnessing somebody that's going through some of those things, and allow them to understand what's going on through the person that they love's mind, because to them, on the outside looking in, thinking like a rational person, well, just quit. Why don't? I mean, it makes no sense. All you need to do is quit.
Right.
And that's.
But you're here saying stay the course.
Yeah, absolutely, stay the course. And so the wisdom that comes from all those demons that I battled, and drug addiction, and being homeless, and an IV drug user, and trying to deal with all the shame that came with it, to be a confident man later on in life that went from 21 years old IV drug user to being 35 after the wildfires. I was promoted to assistant mayor over all emergency services.
Do y'all hear that?
I went from 21.
Who would have thought a drug addict would be appointed to be
in Knoxville?
Yes.
Down there at the DRD with everybody else every single morning, getting my 90 minutes.
And he's telling you he hit rock bottom. And then now you're being put in positions to make decisions for mankind. I mean, who would have thought that? So, and you wrote this book to tell. It's kind of like kind of like the blueprint. It's kind of like writing a blueprint and saying, "Hey, this was it, and don't give up. Stay the course, and trust the process." And so, what do you want this book to be known as? Tell me that.
Well, I'm gonna actually steal that. I like the blueprint.
The blueprint.
That's a great.
It's a blueprint.
I think it's a great way. Really, I think for those that had a loved one that was addicted or went through PTSD or any of these childhood traumas, it's for you to better understand what's going on in somebody's mind, because I try to bring the reader into those moments I was in when I was in those moments. And I had help with a woman named Meg Davis, who is a ghostwriter and is very talented, and she's the one that helps me build this character development and share this story with these details that you'll read. And then also for those addicts that are going through it, that they can see this blueprint. But so yes, I want everybody to read it, of course, right? Those cliches that sounds, but and if you do give it a chance and you do read it and you do enjoy it and you think it could benefit somebody else, please share it. That's the biggest thing, is just pay it forward and see how many lives we can impact and change.
And if you see somebody that is going through that and you don't have the words, this book is a great book that you could buy for that person and say, you know, I don't have all the answers, but this person went through this. Won't you read this book, you know, and see if you can relate to it, if it will help you, if it will give you strength to get through. I think that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely.
And show, because a lot of times if you're not in that whatever situation it is, you don't have the right words.
Yeah.
This book to me is the blueprint of saying, you know what, even when people counted me out, even when people thought that I was going to be the worst of worst, God brought me through, and He made me get through, and I'm still going. What is your mission of Staying the Course Institute?
Yeah.
Tell me that.
What I've been working on now and quit my job and diving all my time and energy and money into is this thing called Stay the Course Institute. And essentially it's going to be a course that people can develop these life skills. So you take somebody that's 28 years old is the example I always give, that's been incarcerated in or on drugs, and you take a 28-year-old that's lived this quote-unquote normal life. Their life skills are not the same. You know, this normal 28-year-old, they've opened up a bank account, maybe got a car loan or a home loan, or they went to college and know how to fill out a FAFSA report or get a college loan. You know, the one that's been in jail, incarcerated, and on drugs, they have skills, but there's not the same.
It's not the same.
And there's so much shame of like, you know, I'm 28 years old, I should know how to do this, but I don't even want to say, like, how do you open a bank account, you know? And they already feel shameful for all the bad decisions. You know, I just want to give them a place that they can learn these things at the comfort of their own home. It'll all be online.
And a lot of people don't understand, like, let's go back to your childhood. You know, your dad was alcoholic. There was a lot of, you know, young, when you were young, things that you needed to learn. But when you have an alcoholic for a father, there's a lot of things that he was not teaching you or showing you. And bank account is one of them. There's so many people that do not know how to open a bank account and do not see a value of having a bank account.
Or savings account or any of that.
Any of that. You know, even with credit, you know, how to pay your bills, that type of thing. I think a lot of us take that for granted, that everybody should know what that is. But if you're not taught how to pay the utility bill, if you're not taught, it's why I truly believe, I don't care, you know, what a family's decision is, if a woman works or not works. I think that you should know your family's finances, okay, and how to pay. Because if someone passes away or gets sick, that type thing, you know, if you've never paid a mortgage, if you've never paid a utility bill or a phone bill, that type of thing, because that was always taking care of you, not just someone that's incarcerated. There's a lot of people that's never been to jail that has no clue how to pay a bill. Because I'm in real estate, guys, y'all know this, and there's been women and men that have been left by their spouses, and that spouse took care of all of those things, and now they don't know how to do it. And a lot of them are embarrassed to say, I didn't ask any questions. So I feel like your institute will help a lot of people, you know, to know how to take care of themselves. You know, that type thing. So what's next? The Institute, what's next for
So currently on the Institute, the next goal or finish line is going to be open up a foundation and essentially help people that were in the same shoes as I was. The course is going to do just that, but, you know, where maybe they need to get their teeth fixed because they're rotten, or maybe they need a nice dress, or they need to get, you know, somehow ready for a job interview. Now that they've stayed the course, they've turned their life around, and they need some extra help, I want to start a foundation that'll help those people as well. So those are the two big things on my list right now.
Because even like with the interview, what you were just saying, there's a lot of people that don't know how to interview well.
Yeah.
They don't know how to dress for an interview.
Yeah.
You dressing to go to grocery store and you dressing to go to interview, it's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to understand that there is people like John that is saying, okay, I'll teach you that.
Yeah.
You know, I know what it's like not to know things, and you got to tap into that, and you have to surround yourself with like-minded people that are really trying to be the better them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times that people are embarrassed.
Yeah, no, truly. And you know, there's a whole new type of interviewing that we're not used to anymore, and that's virtual. So you know, there's a curveball you and I, you know, we're used to and probably still are used to, you know, in-person interviews.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was about 25 years old, I'm interviewing for the Galveston Fire Department. I told you that I did a physical agility test for both Knoxville and Gatlinburg and the written exam. Well, then it was an in-person interview. And they sit you in a chair, you know, all by yourself in the center of the room, and there's a table of decorated fire chiefs and captains. They got all these, you know, their dress uniforms on, is what we call it in the fire service, and they got all their brass on, you know, with all the gold stars and bugles, and you know, you've got the HR director for the city and all these people, and they're asking these same 10 questions to the candidates, you know, and they're trying to grade you on your answers. And I remember one of the questions came from one of the gentlemen. He's like, you know, we're going to do a background check and run your record, and if we do, we're going to find anything. Now, it was the one question I was hoping they weren't going to ask, because I knew the answer. Mm-hmm. But now, up to that point, I've already I went to each courthouse and expunged all my records. So theoretically, they're gone, you know.
Right.
But I didn't know that. And I paused for a second, but then I just owned up to it. I said, well, matter of fact, you may. And I remember the silence in the room just getting dead quiet. You could hear a pin dropping. Another gentleman didn't even ask a question, looked up and said, well, what are you even doing here? Mm-hmm. And another one said, well, what are we going to find, son? You know, what are we going to find? I said, well, there's a lot. And I went down this list of my rap sheet, you know, and those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head, because I was kind of nervous. And I said, you know, I'm going to give you every reason why not to hire me. And I understand that. But
you wanted to be honest.
But the guy that was doing all those crimes is a man that no longer exists. And but I also know that it was me. And if you choose not to give me this job because of that, I'm okay with it. Now, to remind you, I just went through EMT school, a year and a half of college, of working full-time, new baby, new husband, and a full-time college student for this moment right here. And it could have been, and everybody always naysaying, saying they won't hire you, there's no way you're going to get this job. And here they asked the same damn question I thought would never be asked. And here I am. I'm like, man, these people are right. You know, in the back of my mind, the whole time spinning. And I said, but I promise you, if you give me a chance, I won't let you down. And they went on with the interview. When they got finished, one of the guys came up to me, fire chief, you know, just as you can imagine, he had this gray mustache, you know, like he's been in the business for umpteen years. And he came over and he said, son, frankly, I don't know if you're going to get this job or not. But what I do know is it's not going to matter. That's the best interview I ever had in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
And it changed your life.
Yeah, 25, and they gave me a chance. And I, you know, didn't stop there.
So I'll tell y'all, I would get this book. Let it be a blueprint of overcoming whatever you're trying to overcome. And I would say, believe in yourself. Mm-hmm. Believe in yourself. Dust yourself off. Get yourself together. Surround yourself with like-minded people. And if your circle is not the circle that is going to tell you stay the course, find a different circle.
Amen.
It's that easy. I'm a firm believer of, and it took me some years to get here, but if a room is not for me, I just go to another room.
I love that.
It's that easy. Just go to another room. It took being rejected and not being what people thought I should be, but it took God to come in me and tell me to go to another room. It's that simple. I thank you for coming here and being so honest and raw and telling your story, because I think a lot of people need to understand that you can stay the course and you can make it and you can make a difference. Do not stop. Once you make it, you got to make a difference with other people and show them that. I thank you for giving me this interview, and everybody, he'll be back in a few months. Tune in every Friday to Talkin' Tennessee. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to Talkin' Tennessee with Yvonnca. Watch out for our weekly episodes from the First Family of Real Estate, and check us out on the web, www.yvoncasalesrealestate.com. See our videos on Yvonca's YouTube channel, or find us on Facebook under Yvonnca Landes and Twitter @Yvonnca Landes. And don't forget to tell a friend about us. Until next time, Yvonnca signing off.